Hello, hello. It's so good to be here. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I'm just looking at our attendees. We're going to kind of let people have a chance to get on the webinar and finish up what they're doing. And hopefully everybody got the text that was sent out 15 minutes before the webinar. So I think that helps out a lot. So there's going to be a lot of you on here that know me, and then quite a few people on here that don't. So for those of you who do know me, be patient with maybe hearing some of my story again. I will try not to spend too much time on all of that so we can get down to the webinar. We are going to be discussing a lot today. We're going to be talking about brain health. I think it's so important right now, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on COVID because a lot of us are just simply kind of over it and wanting to get on with our lives, but it is causing a huge mental health impact right now. With suicide rates are going up, just all kinds of things. There's been a lot of stress for all of us, people being furloughed, they've lost their job, business is being impacted, family members, loved ones. And so I get it. And I have been really working on my virtual practice and I already had a virtual practice, but due to all of this, I've really stepped into the realm of a virtual practice and now working with people all over the country. And luckily, a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, I can do on Zoom and send testing out and all kinds of stuff. So it's been great on that aspect, is that I'm able to reach more people, which is what I've always wanted to do. And so that's been kind of nice. But so today we're going to be talking about stress, hormones, nutrition, brain health, what's going on with our healthcare crisis. And so a little bit of housekeeping that we kind of need to clear up in the beginning. You're more than welcome to post questions throughout the talk if something comes to mind. I may not see it till the end just because I'm giving this presentation. If I do see it, I'll answer it. If not, I will definitely make sure I get all the questions at the end. And so please ask whatever questions. But something else that I'm doing for each and every one of you on my webinars is that we are covering a lot of material. And so I'm offering a 15-minute discovery call for anyone to be able to get on the phone with me and to ask me questions. So make sure you stay till the end. I promise I'll make sure it's interesting. We probably will be together 45 minutes to an hour, but at the end is where I give you the ways where you can contact me to make that discovery call happen. So that's very important, and those have been great because I've actually been able to get on the phone with people and just discuss their health issues or just wanting to be they're at their optimal health. So all right, so I wanted to kind of just start out at the beginning with the story. I am going to share more about my background and how I got started, but my story I wanted to share was when I first became a nutritionist, my goal was to just help. I wanted to help people with eating. I wanted to help teenagers that suffered from different health issues in high school. And so I became a nutritionist to do all that. But during the middle of my starting out, I got sick. And so I got into functional nutrition, which is more of my background now, a medical background where I do functional nutrition, looking at the underlying cause, helping people get to their goals by bridging the gap and helping people get their bodies back, strong and doing different things. So we'll talk about what functional nutrition means. One day I got up to get ready for work, my feet hit the ground and my body didn't follow. And I had what some of you may know as vertigo, where the room spins uncontrollably. I thought that would go away, that it was an inner ear infection, and it simply did not go away. For at least a year, I was extremely sick. My life was disabled. I went to the emergency room. They did the good old hall pike maneuver where they throw your head backwards, the room spins, and they diagnose you with vertigo, which is a symptom. There's many things that can cause vertigo. In my case, that's what it was. So I had to learn how to get myself well, which I am now. I do not have vertigo anymore, but it really made me step into a realm of being uncomfortable and learning some stuff that was hard to learn, but has now helped me in my practice so that I can really help people get to the root cause of what's going on in their life. So I wanted to share that with you. And now I'm going to share my slides. So just give me 1 second here to do that and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this next one here. This is my husband, and he is a chef. We've been married for 4 years. And the reason why I have this picture here is because, you know, I can help you with the biochemistry and learning about nutrition and what's going on with your body. But the piece that I've never really been able to do well is the food part, which is the most important part. So people would ask me, well, what am I going to cook? And I have these food sensitivities. What do I do with that now? And so Chef Andrew, my husband Andrew, is the one that on my programs is able to help people with the food part and learning how to cook and grocery shopping. We've created a podcast series during all this where you have access to a lot of information. He is the author of the book, Nutritious Meets Delicious, Texas Farm to Table. And I'm the author of the book, Balance Health or Balance Living, the 7 Steps to a Healthy Body and Renewed Spirit. So I have been in practice for over 28 years. And like I said, now I have expanded to many locations, but really just created a virtual practice in order to reach people all over the country and help people with their health issues and their health goals. I am a nationwide speaker, and lots of physicians partner with me and send their patients to me. And again, there's some of you on here that know me, so you know this, but there's a lot that don't. I would say one of my fundamental principles is why doctors take an oath today. Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. We can't do anything without food, of course. Food nourishes our cells and allows us to be at our optimal health, but sometimes our body is just a responder to its environment and things come up and our body is screaming, pay attention to me. And rather than masking symptoms with medications, we look at the underlying cause and address that to get people well. So let's see here. I wanted to start out by showing you a testimonial of a lady who came to see me. And when she first walked through my door, she was tired, couldn't get out of bed, achy joints, constipation, lots of anxiety. She told me after she sent me her after picture, which I'll share in a second, that this picture here, you can see how she's kind of leaning against that pole, that she just didn't have any life in her, that she just didn't feel good. So we did some different things as far as testing, doing some neurofeedback, which we're going to be talking about today, to get her to this point here. She has lost 28 pounds, and because we worked on the inflammation in the body and the factors that were creating that, she doesn't have achy joints. In fact, she's trains for the marathon. She trains other people on how to get fit. Her anxiety's gone. We did some different things around that, which we're going to discuss. And so she looks like a totally different person, not just on the outside. And I always tell my clients, you wanting to lose weight or look good, that's all good. But for me, it's what's going on the inside. What disease factors is that weight causing? How is it keeping you from being the best that you can be or having the quality of life that we all deserve? So where are we today? And again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on COVID, but 45% of adults in the United States are being mentally challenged by this. So we've been impacted by COVID for sure. Post-COVID, there's saying there's going to be a huge suicide epidemic, and I believe we're already seeing that. I have clients close to me that I work with that are experiencing that, and that alcohol and substance abuse is on the rise. And we're clearly seeing that as well. I've had so many people call me lately and say, oh my gosh, I've gained 10 pounds just from drinking alcohol. And so we're definitely seeing a rise in substance abuse. So hopefully what I'm going to share today is some steps to kind of take control of your health so you don't experience some of these things. So I'm first going to talk about neurofeedback because a lot of people don't understand neurofeedback, and rightfully so. There's biofeedback, neurofeedback. No one really knows what it is. And so I'm going to talk about that. So first of all, the machine that I have and that I've been trained on for the last 10 years is called a neurofeedback therapy machine. And what it is it's a form of feedback that will teach the brain to regulate itself without the use of harmful medications. So we have different waves in our brain that get dysregulated. They kind of work together like an orchestra, and things that can harm those regulations of those brain waves are nutrition, prescription drugs, stress, all kinds of different things. I think we can all benefit from neurofeedback. I love it. It helped me get well, and it helps with memory, all the inflammatory brain diseases and degenerative brain diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia is on the rise, and neurofeedback is definitely a benefit for that, but also brain nutrition, which we're going to talk about. So all neurofeedback is just retraining the brain to function properly and getting back to its optimal brainwave patterns. That's simply what neurofeedback is, and we'll talk more about that. These are some applications that neurofeedback can be used for. Hands down, anxiety, depression, addictions, insomnia, ADD, a list of things. What's interesting about chronic pain, if you think about our brain, it is the computer system for our whole entire body. So we don't lift our arm without our brain sending a message for our arm to move. Our brain, our hormonal system, the pituitary gland in the brain regulates our adrenals, which is our stress pathway, our thyroid, all kinds of stuff it's all regulated by the brain. So I had a client come to see me who had been experiencing a lot of pain since she delivered her newborn baby, and she was not able to get out of bed and take care of her child. And so she came to see me, and I was actually doing neurofeedback with her because I wanted to help her with the anxiety of not being able to take care of her child. And lo and behold, it worked on the pain. So she was, after so many sessions, was able to get out of bed, take care of her baby, which improved a lot of different things. So it is our pain center. So it's autoimmune disease, everything. So this is why I love neurofeedback, and I think it's so powerful in helping our mental health. This is our healthcare crisis. 106,000 deaths per year caused by adverse drug reactions. And partly, you go to the GI doctor and you've got IBS and they put you on a medication for that. And then you go to a dermatologist because you have eczema and they put you on a medication for that. And then you go to this doctor. My mom is on a bunch of different medications. Sorry to say, it's hard sometimes with family, but I went through her medications one day and she was on 3 different heart medications that all did the same thing because she went to different doctors that prescribed them. So I'm not saying there's not a time and place for medicine. I believe there absolutely is, but we need to understand that, there's 17,000 deaths caused by different drug reactions, and they're the 4th leading cause of death in the United States. So it's important to make sure we understand that, and to know that, when I go to CVS and Walgreens and you see a line out the door, most of the time it's for people standing in line for medications. And what we're seeing now, I think, with COVID is a time more than ever to stand up and take control of our health and realize that we can't depend on the insulin anymore to help us with diabetes. We're going to have to, take some health steps to get our wellness back. I wanted to talk about this case study. She asked that I keep her information confidential, and because of HIPAA, I respect that. I do have lots of other testimonials and case studies, but I wanted to use this one because she came to see me right in the middle of COVID. And so she was furloughed, and so that started her not being able to sleep. She was worried about finances in her family. started having panic attacks and anxiety over all this, not able to eat. She lost 20 pounds in less than 2 months. So going to a traditional disease and symptom approach, and I don't want to say doctors here because I love doctors. I have lots of friends that are doctors. I know doctors got into being a doctor to help people, and they will agree that we're just in a broken system. It's really about disease management and about symptom and disease. So that's where we are. Medicare even says the same thing, but in particular, when she went to the doctor, she was prescribed Xanax for her anxiety and panic attacks and an SSRI to help her with kind of the depression and low mood and the fear of not having a job. And then she was given a sleep medication for not being able to sleep and an appetite stimulant to try to get her appetite back so she could eat. So she left the office with, 4 different medications doing 4 different things. So that does not come without a list of side effects, unfortunately. So she started experiencing dizziness and some blurred vision and more loss of appetite. And a lot of these medications can cause suicidal thoughts, sleepwalking, heart complications, and even death. So she started having a bunch of side effects, wasn't getting better, and ended up in my office. So this is what we did. I did a 15-minute discovery call, which again, for those of you that have kind of just joined us at the end of this presentation, I am offering a free 15-minute discovery call because I will be answering questions at the end, but obviously I won't be able to get to everybody's questions. We have a big group on here today. So I do that because I want to make sure that I can answer any questions that you may have. So that is something you're going to have access to at the end of this. I did that with this client. We decided on some customized next steps for doing some functional testing, a neurotransmitter test I do, which is a urine test that actually looks at serotonin and dopamine and GABA. So when we go to the doctor's office and they give us an SSRI, a medication for depression and anxiety, we don't really do any testing to see what medication would be the best medication. It's just trial and error. Let's try this, and if this doesn't work, we'll try this. And so I did some functional testing to see where those levels were. We did, of course, a blood chemistry panel where we were able to look at to make sure there was no immune issues going on. I did a SpectraCell. This is a micronutrient test we do. It's actually, it's a blood test, and it looks at all the nutrients in the body, like the B vitamins, the antioxidants, minerals, because a lot of times we just take things out there. We don't know if they're really working, or someone tells us we should take something, but we're not a one size fits all. We're all biochemically different. And some of my deficiencies may not be the same as your deficiencies. So I did do a SpectraCell test. I wanted to make sure there wasn't any nutrient deficiencies that could be causing some of this. And then we did a brain map. So before we actually do the neurofeedback sessions, we put a cap on her head. We filled the holes with gel. We actually record 7 parts of the brain that tell the signals and the regulation of the brain waves, and we get what is called a brain map. It's called an EEG, so there's no electrical current. Kind of like when you go to the heart doctor and they do an EKG, they put the electrodes on and they're looking at the heartbeat. So that's what we did. We did a brain map, and from those findings, from those test results we came up with a protocol to do some neurofeedback sessions. And all that is we put on a movie, or we do have portable devices, since I am working with people from all over now, where we send out a portable device that they either purchase or rent. We set the protocols. You hook up this device to music or a movie, and we also use colored glasses. Blue and green are more for calming the brain down. Yellow is more for stimulating for memory and Alzheimer's and dementia. And that movie's going in and out. It's actually training the brain, hey, come back here. Hey, come back here. So it's training the brain to come back to these optimal rhythms where they're supposed to be. We did some amino acid therapy, which is nice because amino acids, let's say you eat protein. That protein breaks down into your body into an amino acid, and those amino acids actually bypass the blood-brain barrier, and they nourish our neurotransmitters and give our brain the food we need to regulate our serotonin levels and GABA and dopamine. It's also nice because I do have some clients that are on medications and it doesn't interfere with those medications. It kind of just bridges the gap, kind of like neurofeedback does. I put together a therapeutic supplementation program based on the findings we found from her SpectraCell test. And we did a customized lifestyle program because, again, we can't do anything without food. And so we put together a nice customized program for her so that we could try to turn some of this around. With that said, we had some positive outcomes. And again, this is all by practicing functional nutrition. None of this is, I'm not practicing medicine. The outcomes were her appetite increased. So she gained 7 pounds of healthy weight gain, and she was sleeping 6 to 7 hours uninterrupted. Panic attacks diminished, even though, by the way, she has still been furloughed. She does not have her job. She's still seeing us. She is handling things better. Her panic attacks have gone away, and her overall sense of well-being has improved, and she has more energy. Which side effects are no negative side effects: happiness, rejuvenated, and increased quality of life. So this just goes to show you, with the proper testing and looking at the underlying cause, how we can, turn things around very quickly. And so that brings me to this. I like to show this because a lot of clients come to see me, and the first time I see them out in my waiting room, or even Zoom now because I'm working virtually, I see that slumped over and just no life in their eyes. And, so when you look at this plant, I just want you to ask yourself, what do you think this plant needs? Well, I know if this plant was in my office and I was looking at this wilted plant, I would think, oh my gosh, I probably need to, get a glass of water and give that plant some water. That'd be kind of my first thing that I would think of. And then the next thing I would probably think of is, hey, maybe if I go put this plant outside in some sunlight, that sunlight and the water is going to perk this plant up. That would probably be something to do. And I'm not a green thumb at all. So the next thing, maybe some nutrients, maybe get some plant food, or maybe if I had some potting soil that had some nutrients in it, I could repot this plant and give it some nutrients. That would probably be a good start. And chances are I could get this plant to turn around. But not once would you look at this plant and say, oh my gosh, I need a medication for this plant. I don't think we would do that. And so again, I see that with my clients, where I give them the basics, the food and the building blocks, and look at the underlying issues and address some things. And all of a sudden, I'll see them on Zoom or in my office. I don't even recognize them, because it's like that plant that got water and food and sunlight. They have light in their eyes. It's like that switch was turned on in their brain. So stress, I wanted to make sure we talked about stress, because it causes dysregulation in the brain, which leads to, all kinds of symptoms. In fact, 90% of all medical visits, believe it or not, are stress related. So stress is huge. And since we are impacted with so many stressful situations right now, it's important to talk about it. I wanted to talk about 3 different kinds of stress, because, we think of our emotions, but we don't think of the physical stress. We maybe exercising too hard, we actually cause oxidative stress, or we get in a car accident, or, we get injured somehow, bumps and bruises, or we fall. Those are all physical stressors on the body that cause negative reactions in the body. And then we've got this chemical stress. So, we're exposed to chemical stress on a daily basis from the food we eat, when we take in hormones from our meats and we drink out of plastic bottles. Those create what is called xenoestrogens, which are estrogens. We have different kinds of estrogens. They create bad estrogens in the body, which can cause cancer and all kinds of disease states. But just, we're exposed to probably at least 2,000 to 3,000 chemicals on a daily basis, just from the air we breathe and just our surroundings. So chemical stress is a negative stress. And then, of course, emotional. And again, we're all seeing that right now. The emotional impacts in our life is just phenomenal. So it's real, and it is affecting us. And so we need to learn how to work with that. And so I wanted to start by, just what I shared with you in the beginning is my story. And it was awful because not being able to walk or drive or do anything made me realize kind of the importance of my life and what I wanted my life to be about. And so what I learned about me was during this whole issue with vertigo, yes, there were some foundational functional nutrition things I had to adjust that I was being exposed to. But a lot of it was, in my situation, it was physical and emotional. And that is all part of our healing. We can't just look at the physical. And for me, it was writing a book and finishing my master's degree and starting a business and trying to prove to myself and the world who Kay Spears was. And I simply was out of balance, and it manifested in vertigo. And my body said, pay attention to me. We need to take a step back. And so those are real things that we have to pay attention to. But what it made me realize is, what was my why? And for me, my why is, I've been married for 4 years now. I'm married to someone younger than I am. We love to travel. We want to travel. Family and friends are huge. I think we've all kind of figured that out with the social distancing, is that we just can't see and hug and touch our friends and family. And I want that back for sure. And then these two little guys here, there are puppies about to turn 2 years old, and my goodness, they are very high demand. They don't understand if I'm not feeling good or if I'm tired, they still want to play and go on walks and have lots of energy. So I have to keep up with them. So this is my why, is to have my life back and the quality of life to do the things that I want to do. And so I ask you, what do you want to change? I mean, are you having insomnia? Do you have pain and inflammation, loss of energy? We have people that come and see us and they say, I can't leave my house because I don't know if I'm going to make it to the bathroom. Is it obesity, which causes a lot of different disease states, no zest for life? Excuses, if we tell ourselves, I'm going to get started as soon as this COVID is over. Well, you know what? We've started so many people on programs now, and it's actually the best time, because we're not with the, happy hour here and this engagement here and this work event here. It's a really good time to work on us. And there's always going to be something. You just have to decide what it is you want to change. And then I ask you, what's your why? Maybe right now it's not for you. Maybe it's about being active with your family. Maybe it's aspirations, travel, pursuit of happiness. Maybe if you just got started for someone else right now, then it would be about you. But right now, what is your why? What is it that you want to be here for, that you can help make a difference or make a difference in your family? So we're going to talk about the missing pieces. And this is important because we kind of can't just sit here and do one without the other. We have to look at each individual as a whole. So detoxification. And when I say detoxification, I'm not talking about going, to Walgreens and getting a colon cleanse. I'm talking about, we have several detox pathways. And when I mentioned that we're exposed to toxins on a daily basis, how are those detox pathways working? How is the liver working? How is the kidney and the intestines working, and respiration and skin? I'll tell you, when we have a lot of inflammation in the gut and we're not absorbing and digesting and eliminating toxins, those just go back into the liver, and the liver just recirculates them back into the body, and then they store in fatty tissues like brain. Our brain is 67% fat. We get toxins that store in fat tissues. They're not able to get out, and so then they try to get out through the skin, and then next thing you know, we have eczema and hives and all kinds of rashes, all kinds of different things. So we have to look at all the detox pathways and make sure that the body is working appropriately with that. And then nutrition. So I mentioned, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. We can't do that without nutrition. So looking at the body as a whole, but I will guarantee that, you can't go by the whatever's out there for the newest and greatest cabbage diet, or I call it crazy keto, which is high amounts of cream cheese and bacon and lard. I do some ketos, but they're ketotarian. They're more balanced. But it's taking that person and finding out what program works for them, because what works for them may not work for the next person. Then mentorship. I always tell everyone, don't look at me as this nutrition guru that has my master's. Look at me as a coach. I'm going to take you to the Olympics. Let's say you're Michael Phelps and you are trying to train for the Olympics. I'm going to give you that blueprint on how to get there and the steps we need to do. And I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to educate you and inspire you and do all the different things that I can do as your coach, give you the tools. But you actually have to do the work. Michael Phelps doesn't win the Olympics by not going out and do the training. So a mentorship is a big part of, when we're out there trying to figure out how to piecemeal things together without having a plan, and we're just taking things from different websites and different places, sometimes we struggle to get there. Hormone balance. When I say hormones, it's not just progesterone and estrogen and testosterone. We have over 600 hormones that are regulating our body. We've got insulin, which is, going to regulate our fat stores. If we have too much estrogen, it sends a message to our cells to store more body fat. If we have cortisol issues, that is our fight or flight response and our stress, and we don't want cortisol to be too high or too low. So there's a lot of different hormones taking place. So again, it's about looking at the underlying cause, seeing what we need to address and what needs to be balanced with the hormonal system of the body so we can get the results that we're looking for. And then brain health. Again, neurofeedback's a big part of that, but it's not just neurofeedback. It's making sure we have proper fats. So I mentioned if our brain is 67% fat and we need good fats, essential fatty acids that the body does not make on its own, we actually have to take them in. Those are important for the lipid membranes of our cells to be able to function properly. So we need to make sure that our brain health that has the antioxidants that it needs and the good fats that it needs, in addition to the amino acid therapy, which I mentioned, which is the building block for the neurotransmitters in the brain. And then the neurofeedback piece, which is actually exercising the brain to come back to optimal rhythms and is healing the brain from what I call that negative feedback loop that the brain doesn't know how to get out of. And neurofeedback is really good about healing that to come back to homeostasis. So these are what I believe the pillars of health, and looking at everything and looking at how the body is just responding to its environment. So back to what I said, 94% of all failure is due to not having a system. So you know what? Guess what? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You didn't have a system. You were trying to put things together from different things that you're learning. And although I love Google, it's the best thing that ever happened, it can be such a nightmare because we get so confused about the information out there. So it's about having a good plan and having a system and a plan. So if I ask you right now, can you predict the future of your health? I wish I could see you right now and you guys could wave a hand up, because I hope the answer is yes. And if you have the right testing and someone's helping you, looking at the underlying cause, focusing on the cause and not the symptom, correcting the dysfunction, not altering the labs with drugs, not trying to take a cholesterol medicine so that the LDL and HDL cholesterol in the labs could be good. That's still not going to determine if we're creating plaque or not. That's not the answer. Addressing the body as a whole, having an approach, and mentorship. We all need coaching. Bottom line, that's how we succeed, is by having accountability and having mentorship. So I like this slide because it means a lot to me. So tell me and I may remember, show me and I will remember, involve me and I will understand. So when we go to school all day long, we're just learning. We're not really learning how to apply it all. I always said, I didn't like the biochemistry classes, but when I went and took the labs, I liked it. It made sense because you're actually having to apply it. And so I want to show you, I want to help, people understand. I don't want to just give you a bunch of information and have you do homework without you truly understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So it's about waking up and stop procrastinating. We have to make a difference now more than ever. COVID is not truly 100% going to go away. It's going to be with us, along with influenza and the other epidemics we've had. But we can do our part. We can do what we can to try to do the best for our health and to figure out our immune system and how to strengthen that, and to get rid of the obesity and the diabetes and the things that are truly driving us to an unhealthy state, to where we're going to be more prone for these viruses that come around. And so this is my information on how you can connect with me and how I want to help you. So I want to offer this 15-minute discovery call so that you can get your questions answered, discover how my team can help you, and to schedule a health evaluation. So I want to help you with all of that. And so there's some ways we can do this. I'm going to keep the screen up here, but I encourage you to take a snapshot of it with your phone. So you could either go to this link, which is calendly.com, kspears/15-minute discovery call. You can go to this link and actually get on my calendar directly. You could go to my website, which is kspears.com, and you could send me an email through my website. Or you can simply text this number and say, look, I'm having a hard time with this. I went on your calendar. Maybe the times aren't jiving with your schedule. So just shoot me a text and say, yes, I want to make this 15-minute free discovery call happen. And we'll be more than happy to get that on the schedule. And I want to, also just tell you that, yes, there's ways I can help virtually. People aren't ready to go back to offices yet. There are some portable machines that we can work with neurofeedback. I can help you with some of your mental health issues as far as the nutrition and the fundamental building blocks. So I look forward to helping you guys however I can, and for you taking the time to want to invest in your health and being on this webinar today. So I'm going to open it up for some questions. Again, we have a lot of people on, so I may not be able to get through all of the questions, but I'm going to open my chat box here so I can take some questions. Feel free to ask me some questions now. And then again, you can get on this call and get more questions answered. It looks like I have a text coming in now that's asking, what do I do for weight loss? What I do for weight loss is I have a program, and we take each individual. We have we look at the body fat, muscle, and water. I do have a ketotarian program where women lose anywhere from 12 to 18 pounds of body fat in 5 weeks. Men lose anywhere from 18 to 25 pounds of body fat in 5 weeks of just body fat, no muscle loss. So I do have a program that I'm working with people virtually, so you don't have to be in my office. We can send you all the information. It's actually a program I designed over 20 years ago that doctors now send their patients to me for. Here's another question. Well, can neurofeedback help with weight loss? Yes. Well, number one, if we're working on any addictions or, then it's going to help with the weight loss because we're working on that addiction process of the brain, again, by doing that and then giving the body, maybe there's some neurotransmitters that are off balance. Maybe dopamine is elevated, which is driving that response of craving sugar and craving different things. If our serotonin is low, then we're not going to have that overall sense of well-being, and we're actually going to crave carbs because they will boost up our serotonin levels for a very short time. So that's a great question. All right, let's see. Another question here. Have I worked with children with ADD? Absolutely. Kids come during the summertime and we run different ADD protocols. We've had lots of results throughout the last 10 years of parents saying things like, my child's behaving better, the teacher is getting better reports at school, their grades are improving. So we have lots of success with ADD. Here's one. For the testing you've done, you do not need to come to my office for testing. We, again, are doing everything virtually. That's a great question. We do different things like food sensitivity tests can be sent out to you, cortisol saliva testing, hormones. We look at stool DNA testing for people that have irritable bowel syndrome and all kinds of stuff. Everything can be done virtually. The portable devices we're doing, we can customize programs for neurofeedback, but also Dr. Suter has downloaded in these little devices all his protocols from pain to sleep to, ADD, everything that's in this device. So you can run these protocols at home with a portable device without even coming to the office. So that's a great question as well. Let's see. This question is, I'm sorry, I can't read that. I have to get up close here. How is it working for ADD? Well, one of the things that is interesting about ADD is the prefrontal cortex is what is, I call it our administrative assistant for the brain. That is our memory. That's where we learn things. A lot of times with ADD, you'll see the prefrontal cortex between the left and right hemisphere of the brain are not in sync. And so with ADD, you'll see a lot of that. So neurofeedback is great for not only resetting that left and right hemisphere of the prefrontal cortex, but it's working. That's our whole command center. I call it the administrative assistant because it's memory, attention, focus, all kinds of stuff. So it's great for ADD. How long does neurofeedback take to see results? That's a great question as well. Everyone responds differently. I've had some people say within 2 or 3 sessions that they've noticed a difference. Some people it takes 10. It takes about 20 sessions for the brain to kind of get used to doing it on its own and not needing that training, kind of like going to the gym when you're working on your biceps. The other nice thing about neurofeedback is it's accumulative. So whether you're training with a portable device at home or in our office, you, and let's say you went out of town for a month and you went back to it, it's not like the brain has to start over. It remembers where it left off and it trains from there. We have college students that come in 2 to 3 times a year and are still getting results, even though they're not coming in weekly for neurofeedback or they don't have a device at home to use. We do have programs for families to do together, and I'd say Chef Andrew's a big part of that because we would do Zoom cooking classes, we could do some Zoom family nutrition, and making sure everybody's on the same page, because I do believe that families have to kind of do this together. If everybody's on separate programs, it can get kind of crazy. We do have portable devices available. We can discuss that on the discovery call, or you're more than, you can call our office at 210-764-2121 and talk to Davina. She handles our neurofeedback and can talk to you about the portable devices that we can get out to you either by rental or for purchase. And I know there's more questions coming in. I did promise everyone we would kind of wrap this up, so I'm going to leave it with that. But just again, I left this on the screen. Feel free to go to my schedule or reach out to us, get on my schedule so I can help you with the rest of your questions. And I just really hope that everybody stays safe during this interesting time. We will get through this. Thank you so much for being on the webinar, and I hope to connect with each and every one of you. Thank you.